A warrior travels light. A warrior travels light. You know, when I went from New York, Manhattan, into the SEAL teams, I took all the crap I had accumulated in the 4 or 5 years, or my college years, and then 4 years I was in Manhattan as a business professional, and I dumped it at my parents' house in upstate New York, and got on a train and went to Officer Candidate School with a little kit bag and my stupid little bow, my wooden stick. Okay? God knows why I brought that stick, because, man, it came back to haunt me big time. As soon as I got off the bus, I told this story before to a few people. The gunny sergeant's there looking at me. He's like, what the hell are you going to do with that stick? What's your name? Mark Devine. He goes, oh, that's a nice name. He goes, what are you going to do with that stick? He goes, I got an idea what you can do with that stick. Where you can put it. Went from having all this stuff to just a little green kit bag, a duffel bag. And I really didn't have much more. I mean, there were a couple times where, like, I bought a house when I was at SEAL Team 3, and I started to accumulate a little bit of stuff, but then I got orders to go to Hawaii, and I got it all shipped to Hawaii. When I got to Hawaii, I ended up renting this place, which is about half the size of this room. And everything that I brought over, you know, literally only about 20% of it fit in this house. And so I turned to these guys, you know, the big Hawaiian, the Samoan drivers who, you know, had, brought, you know, moving guys, right? And had brought all this stuff over. And there was couches and chairs, and I had a big, beautiful weight set. And I had, what else I have? I think like a kayak. No, I didn't have a kayak. I had a surfboard, I had a bunch of stuff, and I had no room for it all. A bike, let's say a bike. And I just turned to these guys and said, you guys want this stuff? And they're like, really? I said, yeah, I got no use for it. And they, you know, I made their day, because they took all this stuff and either sold it or, you know, used it. And then, you know, it finally dawned on me then that there's no use in accumulating all this stuff, right? It's just going to slow me down. And so I really try to travel light from there on. Now, I have stuff now, but like I don't have a lot of toys. I don't have a boat and motorcycles, and I'm not against it. It's just, it kind of violates this simplicity code. Keep life simple. Now, this applies to not just material stuff, but it applies to commitments, right? Commitments. Most people are overcommitted. You think about your own life. Are you overcommitted? Especially business professionals. You have 3 businesses, you're on boards of directors, you're trying to do nonprofit work. At what point is it too much, right? Would it be better to focus just on 1 or 2, a really narrow range of things that are deeply important to us? That's the warrior way. It's like when Miyamati Musashi in his Book of 5 Rings says it's better to practice 1 sword strike 100,000 times than 100,000 sword strikes once. It makes sense, right? Do you want to master one thing or be mediocre at a lot of things? Keep things simple. Start out with the material things. Declutter. Keep on asking yourself, do I need this? Is this something that's going to simplify my life, or is it going to complexify? Anything that's going to complexify, you have to really consider whether you need it or do you just want it. It's okay to want things, but be careful what you ask for, because certain things tend to, you know, burden us down. Starts out with material. You have to look at your material world. How complex is it? Try to simplify. And then, so that's possessions and, you know, other things. And then commitments. These are things that you're committed to, because the more commitments you take on, the less time and energy you have to focus on what you need to focus on. And then the third is just the nature, the number of thoughts and belief systems that you hold on to which aren't serving you any longer. And we've talked a lot about that in the process of meditation, clarifying some of these belief systems and ruts that hold you back. Some of you are here, all of you are here to try to learn like a narrower range of more powerful thinking patterns, and then you let go of the crap that you don't need. And it frees up a ton of energy, mental space. You empty that cup. And you can do this periodically. You teach yourself, like, to always be asking the question, is that belief system I have serving me? Is it going to help me move forward in life? So there's several layers to this notion of simplicity.